Hello. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. I know. It's been a couple months since the last video on the channel, and I wanted to do kind of a touch base on what's going on and do the video that I promised at the end of the last video would come in a week, and that was a lie. So, obviously. So how have things been going from a personal development standpoint? Poorly is the answer to that question. Things have been going poorly. Waking up at 6:30 every morning, working out every day, drinking plenty of water, poop to that one. It's been not a rough go of it. It hasn't been bad. The holidays got in the way, like they do. Priorities shifted, and just stuff happens. Life happens. That's what happens. Life. And also, as you all can already tell this far into the video, the videos that I was making on the channel were kind of dry, and I had this air of professionalism and presentation that I wanted to hone in on, and that ain't me, and the videos aren't really representative of me or my personality, and I wanted to inject a bit more of that into it. So I would love to say that I intentionally took a sabbatical for the channel, reassess things, and am coming back stronger than ever. But actually just, the whole pitch of this channel was you all going on the journey with me and me going on the journey with you. And then as soon as I hit my first stumbling blocks, I was like, well, I don't want to talk about it, so I'm not going to make a video, which is the opposite of the point of this channel. So here I am talking about it. Things went off the rails, and it just kind of snowballed from there. With the holidays, I didn't feel like I had enough time to get everything done that I wanted to get done, which made me feel bad about not getting the things done that I wanted to get done, which then made me get less done because I was too busy moping about my inability to get things done. I'm sure you all have been there. If you're watching a channel on personal development, you've probably had this same spiraling effect happen to you, and it's okay. I'm doing better now. I've worked out like 3 times this week. My eating habits are getting better. I did have breakfast taquitos this morning, which is not the best choice, but we're working on it. But I have been working out. But something that I have picked up the past couple months is a love of reading again, specifically fiction. I read a lot of nonfiction, as you all could tell early on in the channel with like the books that I was referencing. But when you exclusively read nonfiction, you tend to treat reading as this like sacred thing, this font of knowledge that you do to gain some greater understanding of life and the world. And it stops being fun. It becomes something that you feel like you need to do. And then you end up watching 3 hours of YouTube videos for entertainment because you can't think about things that hard anymore. So I've enjoyed reading fiction because it's just an enjoyable thing. And also reading nonfiction should also be an enjoyable thing. Learning should be fun and not a chore. So moving forward for the channel, this is not going to be an exclusively personal development channel anymore because that sounds boring to me. And I want to do a channel that is fun for me to do. I'm going to switch the microphone into another hand so I'm not just gesturing with one single hand the whole time. Why am I holding the microphone? Because I wanted to shock you all into an initial like, whoa, things are different. He's holding the microphone instead of having it cleverly placed just out of frame. And there's a slight echo because he doesn't have proper soundproofing in the room. So, which hand was I think this is where I wanted to be. Yeah, I enjoy reading both fiction and nonfiction. I enjoy playing board games and doing other stuff. And you all would know that if you were subscribed to the vlog channel that my wife and I have, Miley and Eric. I'll put a link there. We did a video on what we read in the month of January and talked about that briefly. And we've done some other like book content there. So if you want to follow kind of other shenanigans I get up to that aren't as like controlled as this channel is going to be, go subscribe there. And if you also like D&D, go subscribe to the Geek Pantheon channel. I'll now new link. And also links down in the description below, because I do DMing videos and book reviews over there, and there's an actual play that you should check out. Probably a lot of you are coming over from that channel here, and that was redundant. But for new people, if you like D&D, go check that out. So this video, now that we're through the preamble, I promised a video last time on, we talked about breaking bad habits and making things invisible and making things more difficult in order to kind of strip away the bad habits. Perfect example is I discussed keeping soda in the garage fridge instead of the kitchen fridge and keeping bottled water in the kitchen fridge so that bottled water is more accessible and easy to me. Started keeping Coke Zero in the kitchen fridge, and guess what? I started drinking a lot more Coke Zero because it was right there and easy to grab. Speaking of which, don't mind me. Also, I know I shot in a bunch of different locations and B-roll and all that kind of stuff. There might be some shot changes now and then, but it's a lot of work to do B-roll shots, and I'm not very good at it. I'm not a cinematographer. I was just about to say my strength is talking to the camera, and then I fumbled over the word cinematographer. So, yeah, that's what we're going for with the channel, is a lot more of talking head and me sharing insights and experiences and tribulations and all the stuff with you all. So we talked about breaking bad habits, and now we want to talk about establishing good ones and how kind of the inverse of how you break those bad habits feed into creating good ones. But perfect example that I wanted to share from last time, got the Peloton, loved it, super cool. It has an achievement system where you earn badges based on different things that you do. And one of the hardest ones to attain is a 60-day streak badge, like riding on the Peloton every day for 60 days. Because the idea being, if you did it for 60 days in a row, surely you've got the habit formed by that point. So good job. So I got that. I rode every day for 60 days. Or I did some form of Peloton exercise. I ran one day with the Peloton app, that kind of thing. Hit the 60-day badge, and then I was like, okay, now I'm going to alternate like weightlifting one day, riding the Peloton the other day, back and forth. Immediately fell off the rails because I had set the goal. I want to get that 60-day streak badge. And once I did it, what now? I didn't have a clear focus or like direction in mind. And it just fell apart at that point. So that's a perfect example of what we talked about in a previous video of like, don't set a goal with a finish line, because once you cross the finish line, you're doomed. You're doomed. So establishing good habits. And I have the script that I wrote for this episode literally months ago. Like I wrote the script on time. It was just the filming that I just couldn't bring myself to do, because there are like 20 B-roll shots that I planned out for this. And then I looked at that list and was like, I don't want to do this. So I didn't. So I'm just going to talk about it and we'll see how it goes. So establishing good habits. When my dogs start whining at the back door and I'm working, they clearly want to go outside. I hesitated saying that word because one of my dogs is right there, but she's asleep, so she didn't hear me say that. If she heard me say that, she would have sprinted for the back door. So they want to go out. And either they need to go to the bathroom, or being inside all day, every day, away from the sun is slowly driving them insane. Nothing relatable about that at all. So I go and let them outside. But it's a beautiful day out. And that's a lie. It's like 12 degrees right now. But in this hypothetical world, it's a beautiful day out. Why would they want to come inside? There's so many things to smell and other dogs to bark at. So we have a treat jar by the back door. In fact, I can get a prop. I got a prop. So when they're outside and I want to get them inside, I do this. That sound, is like a signal to come sprinting towards me, because they know when they hear, they're going to get a treat. And so that is what's called a cue, according to Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a cue that signals to us that we want something. Back when I smoked, I constantly smoked while I was driving. So the sound of the car turning on was instantly a cue to me, time for a cigarette. When my throat gets dry, I know it's time to take another delicious sip of my Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Hashtag sponsored. Not really. So those things are cues that indicate to us that there is something that we need in our lives right now. The next thing is the craving. So this is actually what we want. So like when I start my car and I'm gonna drive, I want it to be relaxed while driving. A cigarette calms me down and relaxes me. So light it up. I want my throat to be, what's a not gross word? Hydrated. I want my throat to be hydrated. So I go get something to drink. My dogs want a tasty thing in their mouth, so they come running inside to get a treat. Basic stuff here. But you're establishing and manipulating the cue and the craving to set you up for success with positive habits. Because those are establishing the problem. Those are establishing the thing that you want to change in your life. You have the cue, throat is dry, I want it to be hydrated. Next up, response. So this is kind of the core of it all. My chair is squeaking like crazy. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that in post and you won't know. You'll probably know. So response is the core of it all. This is how we respond to the craving. So do I go get a Coke Zero, or am I being a good boy and I'm going to go get a bottle of water? And I should not ever reference myself as a good boy again, because that feels odd. How am I responding to the craving? And if I'm doing the right thing and keeping the Coke Zeros in the garage and the bottled water in the kitchen, well, there's less friction for me to go get a bottle of water. So I'm setting myself up to make good habitual choices by going to get water, by setting myself up to make it easier to go get the water. Spoilers, we're going to get into the whole make it in what we did last time with the make it invisible and all that business. Going to get into the inverse here in a second. But yeah, the response is us answering the call to action. Luke wants to get off Tatooine. Harry wants to get away from the Dursleys. I would like a drink. And in the way all of us as epic heroes do, we stand up, we walk out the door, and we do the thing. Or we decide I could wait a little while before getting another drink. Or I wait for my wife to be in the kitchen and I just yell, hey, can you grab me a Coke Zero, please? We're all heroes. And lastly, the reward. So this is it. Did the Coke Zero quench my thirst? Did the bottle of water quench my thirst better? That's the whole point of this. Is the reward the most satisfying possible thing for the cue, the craving, and your response? And if the answer is yes, then you're going to continue to do that. You're going to reinforce that behavior because the reward is satisfying. My dogs know that when they hear, they're going to get a treat, a tasty, tasty treat. They're all asleep right now. It's amazing that they have not disrupted this video yet. But yeah, they know that when they hear that sound, if they come running to me, they will get a treat. And so when they're outside doing things they shouldn't be doing, like barking a lot or eating poop, I can open that jar and stop their bad behaviors and get them to come inside. Just like back in the day, cigarettes would satisfy my craving to be relaxed. It would reinforce the idea that when I'm driving or when I'm stressed or when anything happens, if I have a cigarette, I'm going to feel better. So how do we do it? How do we actually engage our minds in a way to make good habits easier to accomplish? And building off of what we talked about in the last video, make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying. That's how we break the bad habits. How do we build the good habits? By doing the opposite of all of those things. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. All of those, it's literally just flipping it on its head. If you keep a candy jar on your desk, guess what you're going to eat when you get like the afternoon hunger pangs? Candy. Whereas if you keep an apple near your desk, you're going to eat that instead. If you have a mini fridge in your office and you fill it with Monster Energy drink versus bottled water, it's going to be easy for you to make bad choices if you have bad things, or good choices if you have good things in there. So making these things obvious and just right there in your face. If on your coffee table you have a video game controller or a TV remote instead of books, then you know what you're going to reach for when you sit down on the couch. It's that simple. Your environment dictates so much of what you do on a day-to-day basis. It's crazy. And I'm not talking about the the greater environment that is slowly being eroded in this. It is harder to go jogging when it's smoggy out though, but I'm just talking about your personal environment that you set up in your home. Anyway, make it attractive. This is easily accomplished by pairing something that you hate doing or want to do more of. Hate doing is a strong thing. Pairing something that you want to do more of with something that you love doing. So if you love listening to a certain podcast, maybe it's an actual play D&D podcast that you really enjoy called Eberron Renewed that I'm the DM of, link down in the description below. Shameless plug away. If you enjoy listening to that and you want to run more, maybe only allow yourself to listen to that podcast while you're running. That way, if you want to do this thing that you really enjoy, you have to do this other thing that you want to do more of. That's the step to making it more attractive. Listening to certain things only at the gym, like audiobooks and things like that you want to engage with. Or if you enjoy going for an afternoon coffee run, like you love driving to Starbucks, hitting up the drive-through in the mid-afternoon when it's super dead and you can just roll through and get some coffee, and you've been wanting to listen to more audiobooks, maybe on that drive, only listen to your audiobooks. That's your audiobook time. You get to go enjoy your coffee and you get some reading done along the way. That's the pairing idea with making it attractive. And the idea behind this is basically you're setting up the cue and the craving and the response where when ideally, like when you see that new podcast episode releases on Fridays, generally Thursday nights, but we say Friday, you see the new podcast notification, you hit the point where you instantly go grab your running shoes. It's like, well, podcast is out, time to go for a run. Or you get in the car to go on the coffee run and you don't even think about the fact that the audiobook just starts up playing through your car speakers. So just you're pairing these things to the point where they become linked forever in your mind. And when you want coffee, you instantly start listening to your audiobook. When you want to listen to your podcast, you immediately go get changed to go for a run. Another big thing is our social environment plays a massive role in this as well. Because the people that we spend our times around, that sentence still sounds weird. Who you choose to spend time with will often dictate what you do. If you spend a lot of time with people that only enjoy playing video games and talking about video games and engaging with that topic, and they don't really have much interest in discussing books that you've read, then you're going to have a harder time finding the motivation to read books because you don't have anybody to talk about it with or do it with. And that's part of the joy of doing things is we are social creatures. Even introverts are social creatures. And so we need that connection with other people. So establishing a social environment that reinforces the things that we want to do, like people who enjoy running. I don't know many. I think you all are crazy. I hate running, but good on you. We should probably be friends because I need to run more. So hit me up if you enjoy running and maybe we can go running together. Probably not. I hate it, but you never know. So establishing that social environment of people that reinforce the good habits that you want to do. And this isn't to say you have to cut out people that have negative habits. I mean, well, that's a whole other discussion. I'm talking about stuff like video games or like, I'm not saying video games are bad. That's just my knee jerk. Like that was the thing that I fell into so often and would just spend hours upon hours just doing that in a very mindless way and not engaging in any sense. So this isn't to poo-poo video games. Video games are awesome. I love video games. It's just easy for me to go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, just saying with like the habits that you want to cut out of your life. Like if you want to eat out less, here's a good one. If you want to eat out less, save money, eat healthier by cooking at home, but your whole friend group literally every night texts you or calls you is like, hey, we're going to go grab food. Come on. Maybe you need to establish relationships with other people that don't do that every night and lessen the exposure to the people that are going to pressure you into continuing to indulge in a thing that you don't want to indulge in. And I know there are far more destructive examples where you should absolutely cut people out of your life, but that's not the point of this video. And I'm still kind of like teetering on the edge of not talking about it, so we're going to move on. But James Clear actually tells an interesting story in Atomic Habits about how it was found that chimpanzees who would learn a new, more effective way of cracking nuts, when they would be inserted into a group of chimpanzees that crack nuts the old way, the more ineffective way, the new chimpanzee would revert back to the less effective way just so they would fit in, because they didn't want to rock the boat. And yeah, that's like people. You don't want to rock the boat, especially if you're the new person in a friend group. And so if you insert yourself into a friend group where exercise is prioritized, you're not going to rock the boat by saying, hey, what if we went and saw a movie instead? If everybody's saying, hey, let's go for a jog, you're going to go for a jog with them because that's what they want to do. And you're the new person. So sure, let's go for a jog. Sounds like fun. It doesn't sound like fun, by the way. Just wanted to clarify that. Next up is make it easy. So there's a quote by Voltaire that is just the entire ethos of the past couple months of my life of the best is the enemy of good, or the best is the enemy of the good. In that, like, we get so in our heads about making something perfect or doing something absolutely correct all the time that we end up not doing anything. And that's not good. That's not a good way to live your life. Going back to video games, I used to play Halo constantly. Like in college, I would play it legit. It was my full-time job. School didn't do that, but I played Halo like 40 hours a week. And for people that played older video games and then try to hop into modern gaming, I hear this a lot where there's just too much going on. There's too many buttons to press. There's too much stimulation. There's too much going on the screen, and you can't function. It's just like, I don't know what to do. When you've played a game a lot though, like I played Halo, you didn't think about it. You didn't need to think about it. You knew what your hands needed to do in order to accomplish the goals that you wanted to accomplish, and everything else was window dressing. And if I would have approached Halo like I approached fitness, I would just sit at my spawn for the entire match, analyzing each cue, pull my phone out, looking up the best way to handle each enemy and the strategy they were employing, and I would just be dead. Like, I would hear an enemy shooting rockets to my right. I would Google how to deal with rockets in Halo, and then the announcer would say the enemy team has your flag, and I would Google how to recapture the flag, and I would never touch my controller at all. So eventually you gotta do the thing. You gotta do it. And I would just search for like how to build muscle good, like how to build big, strong boy muscles. And I would read for days, weeks, even months, researching the most effective way to do it. What should I be eating? What macros do I need to hit? What is a macro? Should I do keto, paleo, vegan, carnivore? And meanwhile, each day passing by where I wasn't lifting weights was a day wasted that I could have been getting better at lifting weights. So stop trying to find the perfect method. Make it easy. And by easy, I mean simple. Do the thing. It's obvious. You've done that. Like my example, I have weightlifting equipment in my house. I have a tempo studio. It's expensive, but I got it and I like it. I like using it. It's right there. I could literally be at my tempo in 15 seconds. It's obvious. It's in my house. Attractive. I enjoy doing it just innately. I enjoy weightlifting. I hate lower body lifting, but I love upper body. I love doing the curls and the presses and, the showy muscles. I don't like doing the legs because those are hard and I get out of breath. But doing curls for like 20 minutes, that's where I want to be. So, but also there are certain playlists of music that I really love on my Spotify account that are exclusive for working out. If I want to jam out to my 2000s pop punk emo workout playlists that are super fun and awesome, I can only do that while I'm working out. So I've made that attractive of like, I would really enjoy listening to this music. I better go hop on the Peloton, the treadmill, grab some dumbbells so I can rock out to my early 2000s emo. Because yeah, that's me. I guess I could make this. Is that better? Is that more the aesthetic? Anyway, the other habit or the other aspect of making it easy is creating paths of least resistance around you. And that's what I talked about, like with a home gym, not having to drive to a gym. That is twofold of making it obvious and making it easy. I don't have the excuse of like, well, I'm low on gas right now. And so I would have to drive to the gas station first and then go to the gym and lift weights. And who's got time for that? Nope. I could walk 15 seconds away, knock out a half-hour workout, and be done. Like, I could literally, on my lunch break, do a full-length workout and have no reason to not do it. It's easy. In terms of drinking, like drinking habits, not drinking habits, but drinking habits. You know what's delicious? At least in my opinion, room temperature water. Fridge cold water hurts to drink to me. I would much rather have a room temp bottle of water. So you know what would be a smart thing to do? Just keep a bottle of water on my desk right here, always, because it's going to be the temperature that I want it to be. And I could open it and drink it. Obviously, like if I've opened it and drank half of it, I shouldn't then like 2 weeks later open that same bottle and drink it. I would need to be drinking more water if I had, yeah. Anyway, but if I just kept a bottle of water at my desk, I wouldn't even need to worry about getting up and going to the kitchen to get water. It would just be right there, ready to go. Super easy. And once again, obvious. Right there on my desk in front of my face. And then the last thing is make it satisfying. So this is like the vital one where if the thing isn't satisfying, then you're not going to continue to do it. It's why smokers smoke despite decades of research showing it's one of the worst things you can do to your body and you should stop it because it's awful and you'll feel awful. And yeah, and why I kept smoking for as long as I did, because it's so satisfying, like when you do it. And in the inverse, exercise sucks in the moment. It's not satisfying to do it. Like I ran a 5K in November as part of a challenge thing. And like when I hit mile 2, the sweet embrace of death seemed more appealing than ever. And the next morning, my hips, my feet, my shoulders hurt for some reason. My shoulders. I was just doing this for an hour. I guess I was, but anyway, my shoulders hurt a lot and I hated it. But I got to post about doing it in like social media groups that, hey, I ran a 5K. And they all really liked that and commented how awesome that was and gave the thumbs up and the hearts and the weird like person hugging a heart that they did. Still don't like that one. But it made me feel closer to that tribe. And so that became the satisfying aspect of the action, is I felt more accepted in this tribe of fitness-oriented people in social media groups. And like I said, my wife and I just got a Peloton so that we could take our full form as white middle-class people. And it's also fun and satisfying because the instructors are engaging and fun. The music's really good. The classes are enjoyable. And it makes it satisfying because it's rewarding at the same time, and there's a big community built around it that you can feel like you belong to. The hardest part about all this is that, generally speaking, James Clear says in Atomic Habits, I think he's quoting someone else. I can't remember. It's been a minute. But basically, one of the greatest curses of life is the fact that bad habits are satisfying in the moment and detrimental in the long term, and good habits are detrimental now and beneficial in the long term. Like exercising, like you don't generally feel good while doing it unless you hit the runner's high thing, which people keep telling me about. I think it's a myth. I know it's not a myth. I know that endorphins exist. It's just me being funny. Just stop it. Attempting to be funny. That's a better way to classify it. All of this is my attempt to be funny. Whether or not it's landing, you be the judge of that. So yeah, the good habits are not satisfying in the moment. Eating your vegetables. You can cook vegetables well, But having a donut, it's great now, not great down the road. Having broccoli instead of a donut, I don't know which situation you're in to where those are your two options. Because if it's in the morning, weird. And if it's you picking what side you want with dinner, also weird. Like broccoli or jelly donut. So the broccoli is going to be less satisfying than the donut in the moment, but long term, it's going to be much more beneficial for you. That's the point of all of this. Man, I thought this video was going to be a short one, but then I got to talking, and we all know better than that. Hope you all enjoyed this new format of the video. I hope you all enjoyed me injecting a bit more of my chaotic energy into it. And let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And I would enjoy that. Go back and watch the old videos and see how different everything is now. And if you like the old videos better, sorry, don't let me know down below. You can. I'm not going to go back to it because it wasn't sustainable for me as a human to put that much like physical time into creating videos. I wasn't going to be able to do that long term. Just pulling the curtain back, the first 3 videos I recorded before I launched the channel. Like I got them all preloaded and I was like, great, I'll have some lead-in time. And then, so yeah, this is the new format moving forward. I'll be talking about books that I'm reading, just stuff that I want to talk about. If I want to make a video about something, I'll just make a video about it rather than confining myself to a single genre and topic, which I know is YouTube algorithm hell. Like, the channel's not going to grow fast with this format, but hopefully my winning personality will make one video gain enough traction to develop a following, because that's how YouTube works, is you just got to get one to land and then you're good. So we'll see how that works out. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, other channels, description down below, social medias down below. At eric.strimple on Instagram is the Instagram account where I'm going to post updates and things like that too. So thanks. Bye.